The Big 12 did not win every game that it played on the weekend. And West Virginia, I'm looking at you, but let's start with TCU. UCF, I will address you. Wow. What a comeback. What a way, down 28-7 in the second half, to say, look, we get it. Our quarterback is not that good at throwing the football. We're still going to throw the football, and KJ Jefferson is going to have to be that guy. And guess what? KJ Jefferson was that guy. UCF in the second half dominated thanks to RJ Harvey, Kobe Hudson, KJ Jefferson, RJ Harvey, Kobe Hudson, KJ Jefferson. The way that this team came back in the second half was by having elite players at all three positions. I told you this a couple of days ago. Do I believe that KJ Jefferson is an elite passer? He's not. You know he's not. In this game, he did everything that he needed to do to win. 13 completions is not absurd. 230 yards passing is not absurd. But 13 completions that equates to 230 yards passing is pretty darn good. 13 for 22 is not. It's Jefferson's ability to go win a game late based on his experience that, to me, says, that's a quarterback that has elite potential. 9 carries for 46 yards as a quarterback, pretty good. You go, I don't know if it's that good. Yeah, in a world where sacks exist and every sack you take is a negative on your rushing yardage, 9 for 46, I will absolutely accept. And then you give the ball to RJ Harvey, and when you give the ball to RJ Harvey, he says, I'm going to run this a really long way. That's a good thing. TCU had a bit of a fall apart defensively, of course, but they're not a bad. Like, the Horned Frogs win this game, and it's not on the it's not on the defense. You're like, oh, of course it's on the defense. They fell apart. No, listen to this: 17 carries, buddy. Kendall Briles, your offensive coordinator, whose last name is Briles, son of Art Briles, the old Baylor coach. Yeah, remember him? 17 carries. You were up 28-7, and you only ran the ball 17 times for 58 yards. What that tells me is that you had the opportunity to run the clock out. Jack Beck was good. My gosh, Josh Hoover was good. 35 for 52. Threw the ball 52 times for 402 yards and 4 touchdowns. You say, all right, 28-7 is when you run the ball, right? No. TCU could not establish the ground game. UCF could. And UCF was able to rally in this game because of the ground. So seldom is a team dynamic enough that they can run the ball to come back down 28-7. UCF could. Only completed 13 passes the entire game, still put up 35 points. Now, they're late. If you watch the game, was that a fumble? I thought so at first glance. Was the wrist down, the elbow down? I don't know. I saw fumble. They replayed it, wrist probably down. Did they get the call right? Yeah, most likely. They reviewed it for a long time. I saw fumble. I had at FanDuel had UCF picked to win in this game, and they did win this game. TCU favored by 2 at kickoff, but that's what it was. I think it was a back and forth competitive game. TCU is a very good football team. UCF is a very good football team. I think those two things can be true in a 35-34 win for the UCF Knights. 11 for 16 on third down for UCF, 10 for 15 for TCU. 519 yards for the Knights, 460 for the Horned Frogs. The defenses for both teams were not elite, of course. But in the end, I don't think it was the defense for TCU that you pin this on. I don't. I think it's the inability to run the football. You couldn't run the clock out. You couldn't have a 14-play, 8-minute drive late in the game that helped put it away. And that was the ultimate difference. Now, for you, West Virginia. I mean, this was one of those. Can I be completely transparent? I turned it off. Oh, West Virginia's up by 10, inside 4 minutes to go. I got other Big 12 games to watch. I'm going to work for the Bananas, and I got stuff to do. I'm just going to... Eli Holstein, there's no way that Eli Holstein and the Pitt Panthers find a way to come back here. Garrett Green, C.J. Donaldson, Jaheim White's back. He's healthy. You got guys like Hudson Clement who exist. 1 reception for 8 yards, by the way. This was a fire Neal Brown game. Stop, Drake. Don't fire Neal Brown. He was good last year. Give him a chance. He's just a boy. This was a fire Neal Brown game. This is a game where I look around the room and I say, who do we blame for this? Under 4 minutes to go, up by 10. Who do we blame for that? Neal Brown. Neal Brown. That loss earlier this year to Penn State, the fashion in which you lost looked undisciplined, unprepared. Like Penn State was leagues better than you on your home turf. Hey, Neal, you're the head coach. That falls on you. What are you doing? I looking around the room after Pitt, say, hey, who's this fall on? Neal, man, you're the head coach. Do you fire him after the game? Of course not. He had a hell of a year last year. West Virginia can still have an 8-win season, a 7-win season this year, and that probably keeps Neal Brown in Morgantown. But the lack of preparation against Penn State and the lack of poise in the late game, big lead scenario against Pitt, allowing 38 points. Hey, Neal, bud, you can't do that. These are the kind of games. Again, you don't fire them after the game. This isn't we have to fire them because they lost this. But this is a game in which you look around the room and go, I don't know how much more of these games, this type of game we can put up with before we've got to go back on the chopping block. Like, we already thought he was going to be fired last year. And you go, Neal Brown, buddy, hey. Like, no, we can't collapse like this. That's got to fall on somebody. You're the head coach. These are the games that you lose en route to being fired. These are the games that you lose en route to being fired. 3 for 14 on third down. Oh, wait. Pitt was 1 for 8 on third down. And you still couldn't win the game. This was some of the least clutch defense I've ever seen in my life. Pitt didn't look good pretty much ever. The whole scene guy, I kept being like, there's, every third pass was good. I was like, oh, wow. But I just don't trust him. I don't think he can lead his team to victory. He did. It's just the way Pitt has won games this year. Not good. TCU's in a fine spot. TCU can still win 9 games. West Virginia, not good. Not good. Coming up, Arizona, Kansas State, Kansas. Let's talk to you guys on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Ultimate GM. Ultimate GM has been where I've gone the last couple of weeks, especially when I'm flying with the Savannah Bananas, to do something that not only occupies my time, but is also a ton of fun. Ultimate College Football HC is the ultimate simulation game where you get to be the head coach of Texas Tech or UCF or Cincinnati, and where you can recruit players and hire coaching staff and even call the plays right now. That's right. That's what I love about the game. You can call the plays, have a direct result or direct impact on the result of a game. Your strategy will not only determine the success of your football season, but shape the future legacy of your team. Ultimate College Football HC is completely free. No ads, 100% playable offline. Use the code LOCKEDONCFB in the app right now for a new boost and bonus. Make sure to take advantage of this perk as it will get your team off to a strong start. Download the game, visit ultimate-cfb.com or look it up in the app stores. Ultimate College Football HC. Begin your coaching legacy and do it today.